This is Sean with the Voices of Racing, and I'm speaking with Emile Lafond. Emile, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Sean. How are you?
Good. And we're going to be talking about your son. He's had quite a career already. He started in 2017, close to 90 races in between Formula Ford, Miata Spec, and also back in the day with the Kart. Is he still doing any Kart, or is he just sticking to the Formula Ford series?
He's jumping into karts every once in a while. I mean, that's where he started out, and he still loves it. But his focus is cars right now.
Okay, so if we could just hear a little bit of your background and where you're located.
Sure. I'm in Montclair, New Jersey, but I was born in Haiti. Came here, I was 3.5. A lot of turmoil in that country, and it kind of forced our family to leave. My dad's life was in jeopardy, and my mom said, "Okay, enough of that. We need to go." So off we went.
All right, so here's a shot of your, is it your mother and your sister, and also Andre's grandmother?
That's correct. My mom, Ghislaine, my sister, Tessa, and Andre's grandmother, Mary.
And then here's a shot of the family. And Max is his younger brother. How would you describe their dynamic as brothers, competition-wise?
Initially, when Max was a baby, it was great. And then Max looked to Andre, as his big brother, and decided to do everything that Andre did, which annoyed Andre. But once Max found, his direction, his own identity, they're very close. They get along great.
All right, so let's talk about how you got him really started. Obviously, you've got him on the back of your motorcycle there, and that top corner shot's him doing jiu-jitsu. What are the things and activities that he was involved in growing up?
Well, I always wanted to get him involved in martial arts, because not just this self-defense aspect, but the resilience, resourcefulness, determination, self-confidence. So started him in that, and he flourished, and it actually paved the way for him to get into racing and find his way into that.
All right, so here's a shot of his first podium. Let's talk about how old he was, where was the track, and just kind of explain the experience and how it really affected him and got him hooked on the sport.
I mean, he was hooked from the get-go. I mean, he always wanted to race, and I saw at an early age that he had an affinity for it. But this podium shot, he was over the moon. He loved it. It kind of confirmed that he knew what he was doing, and it feels like home to him when he's on the track.
Well, and that's bringing up a good point, is that he grew up diagnosed with ADHD, and it took him a while to get over that. And I know that you tried some medicines, but, if you could just explain the path and how the doctor you finally connected with really helped you get him to the point of being confident, being on the track, and getting in that flow state.
Sure. We tried a bunch of medicines, and on the surface it seemed to work, but after a while he didn't want to do it anymore. He just said he didn't feel like himself. So I reached out to anybody I could to get some references, found a wonderful doctor who's actually in town, Dr. Tyran Mincy. And he did a whole holistic approach to that. And within a short amount of time, we got things handled. Diet, cognitive training, detoxing the body, some chiropractic work, and a few other things. And the first time he got in a kart, all that excess energy, he just sat there, and I saw his whole body and energy change to one of just quiet focus. And I knew right then and there that, racing was his deal.
And so here's a shot of him branching out of kart, going into the the Spec Miata series, and I know that you were able to bring him up to Wisconsin to Blackhawk Farms, and the gentleman who you brought him to essentially was Advanced Auto Sports, and that's Ben. Why don't you tell us about that weekend and how he overcame and didn't even know how to drive stick in a race car when he got there?
No, we had to get an FIA license because Andre already had a seat for the Ammonite Motorsports car in the UK. But we had to get 5 national races under his belt. And I reached out to Ben. Ben had a car available. And this is in the middle of COVID. So, you know, that whole thing to negotiate as well. Andre had never driven stick. We got there on a Thursday night, met with Ben. And Ben found out he'd never driven stick before, never drove a car before. And he let Andre, you know, tool around, saw that he was competent, and he let him go out. So he learned to drive stick in Friday practice, and then he raced 4 races over that weekend. And that Saturday, after his 2 races, I said it was his birthday, and I asked him, you know, I didn't have time. I was putting all this together. I didn't have time to get you a birthday present, and I hope that this is enough. And he looked at me very, you know, very calm and just satisfied. And he said, Dad, this is the best birthday present ever.
Well, one thing Ben said to me that I thought was extremely impressive is, I mean, they run, I believe, 25 races a year or close to 30. And in this particular heat or over the weekend, there was about 35 that were running. And from where Andre started at the beginning to how he finally finished in the final race, he moved himself up into the top 3rd. And Ben said, which we've already interviewed Ben, but he said there's guys going 10 years that can't get up to that point, let alone in a weekend. And that was thoroughly impressive when Ben told me that.
Yeah, and it's actually even more impressive because Andre's direction was to not get into any accidents, not to get into any altercations. So if you're a racer, you want to battle, and that's what Andre is. He's up for the battle. But we were just there to get the license and keep him out of trouble. So he probably held back a little bit, you know, because we just wanted the marshals to just sign off and say, okay, this kid's competent, he can move on. So who knows what he could have done if I'd actually told him, you know, let loose.
Right. And here's a shot of him out on the track. And if you're going to get it and be able to bounce off those curves and keep those 2 wheels on the ground, that's pretty impressive. But one of my favorite quotes, and I've done a lot of racing interviews and documentaries, that he feels like when he's out there, he's in the eye of the storm. And I think that's a beautiful metaphor to being focused, but having everything around you chaos.
You know, our whole journey, I've got to say that Andre almost constantly has been thrown into the deep end of the pool, just like learning stick on the track, as opposed to, you know, a parking lot like normal people. In that particular shot where he's jumping the curb, his driver coach told him that the fast line was over that curb and to actually attack it. So Andre being Andre, he attacked it, you know, 10 out of 10 and sent 2 wheels in the air.
That's beautiful. All right, so here's the prep. Here's the training, and this gentleman is Mark.
Yeah.
And he's been working with Andre for how long?
For a few months now. Mark actually opened a very, very unique gym in Montclair, and he reached out to me for some other things. Very like-minded souls, very progressive thinker, and he opened up this fascinating facility with all sorts of equipment and a completely unique way to train. You see a picture of Andre there. that's a cardio thing and also altitude training. And that's helped a lot. And he works hard. If nothing else, Andre's an incredibly disciplined and hard worker.
Well,
And
you said he also took jujitsu. I mean, like he's been training in a regimented style for his whole life, essentially.
yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned jujitsu, because anybody that does it, when you start out, jujitsu puts you in some very uncomfortable positions. And when you're starting out, it's hard to relax, and it feels like a life and death struggle. So there's this sense of fear, there's a sense of panic. And as you train, you learn, that eye of the storm, that calm in the eye of the storm. You learn to create that for yourself. And that's what Andre takes to his racing.
Here you've got Maverick and you've got Lewis Hamilton, and both of them have worked with somebody that's helped train your son for a while over in Europe, Ivor. Why don't you tell a little bit of the backstory, how you got connected to Ivor, and also what he does with both of these different race institutions of MotoGP as well as Formula One training?
Well, Ivor, I think he may have reached out to Andre, and then we started talking, and he is really a truly exceptional human being. Very, very smart. He has his own business. He coaches and mentors young drivers coming up, and we've been working with him for a couple of years now. He's been an absolute wonderful addition and resource to our team, and he's helped Andre quite a bit.
All right, so somebody that I've worked with for a while, the Unsers actually brought me in to do close to 50 documentaries of all the memories of top race legends about them, from Mario Andretti to Michael. So I've gotten to be pretty close with Al Jr. over the years, and he's also been able to help coach Andre. So tell us about that experience.
Sure. I was just relaxing after a day of work on a Friday night, and Andre comes back from the gym with this very interesting look on his face. And he said, I got a phone call while I was working out, and I checked my voicemail, and guess who it was? I had no idea. And he said, Al Unser Jr. So it turns out that Al Jr. reached out and recruited Andre to come and race in the Road to Indy series. And since then, we've talked to him many times. We went to an open house in Indianapolis, and I mean, Al is just the warmest. He's just an amazing human being, and given all his accomplishments, being in the Motorsports Hall of Fame, he's extremely, generous, friendly, approachable. Can't say enough about him.
And he now, if you look at it kind of as his next season in life, he's working very closely with a lot of young drivers, and it's really his passion to be able to pass that knowledge on. And he had a lot of good things to say about Andre as well. And then you've got a couple other individuals here.
Yeah, Andy Lowe of Ammonite Motorsports. Yep.
Give a little background to Andy. You said it was a few years that he got to work with him. Is that right?
Yeah. We got to race 2 seasons. Andre initially did a test with Jeff Bishore, and there wasn't a seat left on the Team Pelfrey team. So Jeff recommended that we go to the UK, which was a little bit of a gulp because we thought we were going to race in the US. And on Jeff's recommendation, Andy accepted Andre on the team. And that was the perfect step, because Andy runs the perfect team for a young driver. They have excellent driver coaches there. And Andy is extremely generous and level-headed. He never gets flustered. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows how to coach young drivers and help them to go fast.
And where was the track? Where was this P1 podium?
This was at Snetterton.
Snetterton, right. So here's a little bit of the old and the new as far as the Kart and the formula. And you've got Jerry as well as Kelvin. So tell a little bit about both of their backstories and how they've helped Andre.
Sure. Gerald White of Kartworks was instrumental in teaching Andre. Jerry and his son Justin taught Andre, driving skills, little finesse things that only come with hard-earned experience. How to analyze data, watch video, and do all this off the track work that actually goes into educating a driver. And on the right side, you have Kelvin Burt, who was a guest driver coach. He's a champion driver in the UK in his own right, and he's also a very, very hard-nosed, very pragmatic driver coach. He gets very impatient if you don't know what you're doing or you're not dedicated. But Andre and he got along great because Andre's very dedicated. He pays attention and absorbs information very quickly.
All right, so this is the reward. Some people are lucky enough to get up on those boxes. Other people just wish to do it for a long time. And again, he's had 19 wins. Is that correct?
19 podiums. Yeah.
19 podiums and four total first places.
Yeah.
Right. So what was that like when the first time he did it compared to the last time he's done it for you, being able to witness that and it being your son and knowing how much hard work he's put into this?
Well, I have to say I've had, being the father of a race car driver, I've had a lot of heart attack moments, to say the least. But the saving grace is that I trust Andre implicitly because he looks what might look like a risk, but he's very measured and calculated. He doesn't make stupid decisions on the track. And one thing that we found out is that he's an excellent rain racer. The one on the right there, it looks like the clouds are parting, but that was a very wet race. And Andre, he drove very expertly, made no mistakes, and he just took the win.
And what would you like to say to potential companies that are looking at sponsoring a really driven young driver?
Well, Andre is very driven. He demands excellence of himself. He's also a wonderful human being, very generous. He's coached a lot of kids coming up in karting, and he works hard. He works his butt off, and he's just a wonderful human being. He would be an excellent choice for anybody to partner with. Just to go back to Mark at Brain and Body. Andre actually, made a couple pitches to him, and they started working on it. And Brain and Body, the gym, was fairly new when that partnership started, and now they have lots of people coming through their door, and they have lots of attention. So they're very happy with that partnership.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to Mark and having him tell his perspective on how hard Andre's been training. And how long has he been working with him?
Probably, I would say about 4 months at this point.
Is there anything else you'd like to say in closing about your great race driving son?
Well, when we first started on this journey, I bought his go-kart in the winter, and we were going to pick it up in the spring. And there was one night we were still waiting for delivery. It was in the winter, and I went to check on him as he was sleeping, and he was 9 years old at the time, maybe 10. And he wasn't sleeping. He popped his head up, and he said, "Thank you, Dad." And I asked him for what? And he said, "For believing in me and investing in my future," which totally blew me away at 10 years old. So there's that.
Well, 11 years later, you got a winner. And I'm already proud of him. He's a very smart kid, and I look forward to being able to follow him on his road ahead. And Emile, I appreciate your time today, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. Happy to talk to you too.
You got it.
All right.